going. I'm following this guy back here, but I don't know if you're supposed to take a truck down through here, baby. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. We are out here in West Texas hauling some water, and very special video for you guys today. Today, we are going to learn, or I'm going to teach you how to haul some water. Let's get into it. Guys, if you are not already subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down in the bottom of your screen. Make sure those bell notifications are turned on. Don't forget to drop a like on this video. If you're new to the channel, you should know that I'm an oil field truck driver out here in West Texas, and I haul water. So I get to drive one of these tankers around all day. So stay tuned. I'm going to teach you guys how to load up one of these things. All right, so you don't want to miss this. So guys, first thing first, we need to be safe when we're loading one of these tankers. So oil companies take safety as a huge deal out here. We've had a lot of accidents in the past. So if you get caught doing something unsafe out here, potentially an oil company could do what we call getting ran off. You will no longer be able to work on their locations. Most of the times that means you gotta look for another job. So what we're gonna do is go ahead and set this tanker up so that we're being as safe as possible. All right, so that's what we're gonna go ahead and do right now. First thing is first, whenever you're trying to load one of these tankers, what you're gonna do is you're gonna come over here, you're gonna grab your cones. Your cone has got to be at least 5 feet from the front of the truck. For in case somebody's trying to walk around your vehicle, they don't walk in between the truck and the cone. So that's the rule of thumb. In case you decide to pull off of here, nobody is in between the truck and the cone. So the next thing that we got to do is we got to connect our vent line. All right, so what we're going to do is connect a 2-inch vent line coming from our pump, which this is the pump right here. And we are going to connect it to that line right there. All right, guys, most hoses that we use are cam locks, and I'm going to show you how to secure a cam lock. All right, basically this is a cam lock end. Okay, so basically, let me put my glove on here. If you go here and you pull these off, you can actually detach the hose. All right, connect it, you just connect it, and you're just going to secure these cam locks down. Now the next thing with this vent line is that you want it to be going downwind. So whichever way the wind is blowing, you want that hose to be going downwind away from the motor of your truck. The idea behind this is that whenever you're pulling water or you're loading, you get a lot of gases in the top of the tank, okay? And most of those gases get blown out as it's creating negative pressure in the tank. Those gases then get blown out through the exhaust of the pump, which is this is the vent line, and they go away from the motor of your truck. What could happen is your motor could run away. There's a lot of things that could go kaboom. So very important, always have a vent line. All right, guys, so once our vent line is taken care of, we're going to come up here and grab our chocks. Just grab our chocks off the truck. Oy. All right, we're gonna set them in between the tires. This is the way they want them, in between the tires. So there's a safety training video on that. That's exactly how they want those chocks. So now let's go ahead and walk to the rear of the trailer. So this is the rear of the trailer. I will go ahead and show you guys the valves. This right here is going to be your pressure control valve. With this valve, I can build pressure in the tank because this is what is going to release pressure, okay? If I want the tank to be completely closed off so I can build pressure to actually create a vacuum, or if I want to create positive pressure to push water off through these main valves, I do it all from right here, okay? These are gonna be your main valves, your maiden load lines. So you have a male, you have a female line, okay? So if we pop these caps off, all right, we have a male and a female line. Now that we got the caps off, we're gonna come over here and grab this ground cable. Important because you do have static electricity. You are working with gases and things that can go kaboom. We want to make sure that we're connected to metal. Make sure you have metal to metal contact, and that's your static ground line there. All right, very, very important. So this is called a pot. All right, this is a loading pot or a loading header, most people call it out here. Basically, this pops up. This is where your lines come for your produced water tanks. And you can always tell the produced water tanks because if you go to one of these pots, you can always follow the lines to the tanks. There's little stickers literally right there, that tells you whether it's produced water or oil. This is the produced water line. Basically come over here, you're gonna make sure your valve is closed, then come over here, you're gonna pop the cap off, but always make sure that is closed before you start popping caps off. All right, check your lines, make sure, because if you pop that cap off and that line is not secured or closed, you're gonna have a big mess on your hands. So the next step is, after you get your ground line, you're gonna come over here, get your cone, place a cone off the back of the trailer, all right? This one right here needs to be 10 feet. This is gonna be your work area. Nobody's allowed to work or walk inside of this work area while you're loading. Now, next thing is next. We are going to load. So basically, you're gonna look at your header right here, and as you can see on this side, I have a male end. So that means my hose over here needs to be female, coming back this way. So I'm gonna go back to my hose tray, and I always have my hoses labeled or showing, right? So I have one female facing this way, and I have a male hose. So I have a male on that end, so I need to take one of these males, slide this one off, and this is how I usually do it. Once you get going, you have your own way, but basically we slide this hose off. All right, guys, so once we get our hose slid out, basically we're gonna connect it here. Basically, we slid it in here and just slide it in, and then you're just gonna secure the cam locks, all right? So now let's go ahead and do our other end, pull the rest of the hose off. Come over here, do the exact same thing on the actual loading header. So we're gonna slide it in there and secure our ends down. The name of the game is speed whenever you're hauling water. So the more repetitions you get, obviously, the better you get at it. The less you got to think about it, and you kind of muscle memory, you get it? So now let's go ahead and start the pump. Guys, to start the pump, you need to be sitting in the cab of the truck. So you're gonna press the clutch in, depress the clutch. You're gonna come over here to the gear shift. You're gonna put it in gear. It does not matter what gear that gear's in, okay? It could be second, reverse, it does not matter, but you want that in gear when you come to the PTO to engage it. The PTO, grab the PTO. Basically, you're gonna lift up like this, and then you're gonna slide it over to the on position. Tricky part is, come back while the clutch is still depressed, take your gear shift, pull it to neutral, okay? It's in neutral, and now you're just gonna slowly let off of the clutch, and you should be able to hear the pump starting to rev up. And that is how you start a vacuum pump. All right, guys, now, next step, you're gonna come over here to the pump. You need to make sure that you're actually vacuuming. Since we're gonna be loading, our pump needs to be engaged into the vacuum position. Now, the best way to check this is you're gonna come over here, this right here, you can go ahead and turn it this way. Now, how you're gonna know if it's vacuuming or not, your vent line should be blowing a lot of smoke and a lot of dust out, okay? That's one way to know that you're in vacuum. How a vacuum truck works is that pump right there will suck all of the pressure, all of the air outside of the tank, all right, run it through the pump, and it's just pulling pressure out, all right? And it's just throwing it out the exhaust. When it's reversed, what happens is it's pulling air into the tank, right? And creating some pressure in there so that you can push water out the back. So now let's go ahead and go to the back side. I'll show you guys how to use the pressure relief valve. Guys, this is the pressure relief valve. Like I was saying earlier, this is how you control your pressure. So now this valve, this pressure gauge right here has got a little bit of water and fluid in there, but basically you can look at that. It's at kind of at zero. If I push this that way, you see how it changes? So if your arrow comes back this way, you have negative pressure. All right, so that means that you're in vacuum. Now, if you were to close this and that gauge was to come this way, come back up, you got positive pressure in the tank. All right, another way to check that is if you come down to the bottom of the pressure valve, right? Down under here, see how that pressure valve is right there? That's the hose, that's the line coming from the valve. If you stick your hand on there, come down here to the bottom, let me get a glove and do this. But basically, it'll start sucking your glove in there. That's how you know you're in vacuum. All right, if you were in positive pressure and you're trying to offload, you would be blowing your glove down, all right? So we're actually sucking, so that's a good thing. So now we can go ahead and load. So basically to load, the first thing that you do is you wanna close this. All right, you wanna close up, give it about 5 seconds to build pressure. all right? The next thing is you're gonna make sure all your load valves are closed. All right, see this one's open. All right, you're gonna close them. All right, make sure everything's closed because you never know if this valve is gonna leak. Even though we're not using it, this valve could be faulty, could leak. And you may not see anything right now, but when you're going down the road, it could leak out of that valve. So make sure everything's closed up. You're gonna come over here to the load valve. This is the main load line valve. You're gonna go ahead and open it, all right? One thing to know if you're open is this right here is gonna be paralleled with your line, okay? If it's parallel, it's open. If it's not, if it's horizontal, I guess you could say, then it's closed. All right, so now we're open. So now we have pressure and we're sucking on this line. Another way to tell is you come over here, relief valve, you're sucking the water out, all right? Keep that closed. Make sure everything is closed up whenever you do this. Come back over here, you're gonna close your lid, come right here. Basically, you're gonna open the valve at this point, all right? And now we are pulling water. So we are loading water. You can come in here, you can feel the hose. You'll feel all the water going through there as you're pulling on it. So there we go. Now guys, the best way to know if you're loaded or not, probably a lot of you guys are saying that, how do you know if you're loaded or how if you know if you're full? All right, good question. This is how we're gonna find out. We look over here at the back of the trailer. We have what's called a sight glass. All right, all vacuum trucks have this, or most of them do. And basically what you're gonna look for is you're gonna look for the water level in here. You'll be able to see what is actually in your tank, what kind of water, if it's oil, tank bottoms, whatever it is, it'll show up in the sight glass. We'll have water, it should fill up as you fill up and load, you'll see this level get higher and higher, okay? Now every tank is different, but most of these tanks will haul 130 barrels, and we go by barrels out here in the oil field. There is no gallons. No such thing. That's not something that we use barrels. So basically, pretty much almost at the top of there is 120 barrels, and that's what we're gonna haul legally, okay? So guys, that is how you go ahead and start loading a truck. Now, you gotta do the paperwork on this. So we need to know exactly how much is in those tanks. Most guys will come over here and get the levels first to see actually how much water is in those tanks there. But I already know that there's water here, so I can go ahead and start and come out here and I look and check the levels. If we come over here, this is what's called an HMI. We can open up this screen, all right? Go ahead and click on it. Down here at the bottom, you have a bunch of different settings and stuff for like the pumpers and stuff to use, but we're gonna go ahead and click on water tanks. You can also look at the oil tank levels, okay? But we're more interested in water. So we have 8'9" on the top gauge, right? And this is 8'3". Now, if this was working correctly, I know this isn't working because we've had this issue with this battery before. Basically this bottom level, it'll tell you how much water is in there. And then you just take this, subtract this, and that'll give you how much oil is in there as far as the foot goes. But I know all of this is water. There's not any oil in there. We've had issues with this before with all the floats in the tanks. But there is 8'9" of water. This tank is the one we're loading at right now, okay? So if we come back, I'm actually gonna go off of the second tank since I'm already pulling on this one. I'll go ahead and use this tank right here. Our top gauge would be 8'9", and we'll go ahead and use that. So anyway, guys, we're gonna walk back to the truck, go ahead and start doing our paperwork, getting that all filled out, our tickets and stuff, so we can drop them in their mailbox to tell them that we've pulled a load here and we're done and how much we pulled. So let's go ahead and do some paperwork. All right, guys, go ahead and start our paperwork right now. Oh, I don't know if I ever showed you guys, this is actually one of the clipboards I use. I know it's pretty big, but the reason I like it is because you see these right here, you can actually attach that to the steering wheel like so, and then you got your little desk. So you can do all your paperwork from the driver's seat. We do a lot of paperwork from the driver's seat multiple times a day. So I love this clipboard, it works great. I love this thing, this is a lifesaver right here. I'll go ahead and link this where I got this clipboard down in the description. So if you guys want a clipboard or something, go ahead and pick you one up. It's very cheap. It's like, I think I paid like 14 bucks for this thing. And I've had it for a very long time and I enjoy it. So if you guys want one, Links down in the description. All right, guys, I'm going to show you the most important information that needs to be on these load tickets whenever you turn them in, okay? Almost all companies, all trucking companies are about the same. Basically, the same information goes on them at all times. So let's go ahead and look at it. So your load ticket's going to look something like this. So basically up here at the top, I got this company's name blocked out just for video and privacy reasons. But basically, your company's name would be up here to bill to. You're gonna have your lease name. Every lease has a name. And then your lease number will be right here on the bottom. And then your truck number, how much you can haul in this trailer, and then how much you actually hauled. So we're gonna haul 125. And your description is very important. So if you do something other than hauling produced water, you need to put it in the description. Be very descriptive. Oil companies are notorious, absolutely notorious for not paying people. Most importantly is your top gauge and your bottom gauge. So basically we started at 8 foot 9 inches on the tanks, and then when we get done loading, our level should be at 6'9". So we should pull about 2 feet at 125 barrels. So when we're done with paperwork, we just throw it over there on the seat. Now let's get out of the truck and let's go check our level, see if we're loaded yet. Since we've been in the truck doing paperwork, we're now at that level right there. We'll let it go for a little bit and go ahead and shut off our valves. So basically, to stop whenever you get done or you're close to getting done, you're gonna walk back over here to the load line. Very important to know that this is always gonna be first. Remember, when you're first starting off, when you first get the location you're trying to load, it's opposite. So you're gonna start from there and then work your way down to the battery. This is a battery. All right, now when you're done loading, basically it's everything in reverse. So you're gonna start here now, and you're going to close this, all right? And close it very slowly. All right, so now we close that one. Now we're gonna come to the bucket. We're gonna lift the bucket up, and now that thing is a pressure relief valve too. We're gonna open it up. Basically what it's doing is it's sucking air so that we kind of clear our hose. So when we go to disconnect it, we don't have water go everywhere. So basically just let it run for a couple seconds and then close your valve. All right, come back over here. And you're gonna open up these ears. All right, the dog ears. And you're just gonna wiggle this thing off. You're just gonna lay it down in the bucket like so. Now you come back to your main valve. So now you still got water in the line now. Even though you sucked it clean, there's still a little bit of water. All right, so now we need to clean that up. So basically we're just gonna open this valve again. All right, and you should be able to hear it. Clear it out and then close it. So now we have no water in this line whatsoever. All right, so everything should be clear. All right, guys, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and pick up all of our hoses, throw them back up on the tray, and basically load everything back up, head to the disposal now. All right, guys, so basically I cleaned up the back of the work area of the trailer, picked up all the hoses, put them back on the rack, released the ground cable, put that back, got my cone, put it back on my truck, made sure the loading header where we picked up the water at, had to make sure all the valves were shut and make sure the thing is capped still again. All right, so you want to make sure that everything is left the same exact way when you found it. So now that everything is picked up, we come back here. We're going to go ahead and release the pressure. We'll see a bunch of smoke come out of the exhaust line. So now we'll go ahead and shut our pump off and then pick up our exhaust line, our chocks, and our cone up here. Now to shut off our pump, basically all you're gonna do is come here, pick up on this, right? Turn that off, and it'll shut the pump off. And that is how you load a water trailer in the oil field. I was gonna tell you guys, once you guys get loaded and everything, it's best to carry some kind of wet wipe with you. Basically, I carry dude wipes since they have like the mint flavor, or the, I said flavor, like the mint scent, okay? Basically, you know, I like these just to wipe my hands off, because there's no telling what's out here or what comes out of the ground. So I get a couple of these things, and every single time I get done loading or offloading at the disposal or here at the battery, I basically wipe my hands off. And that's one thing you'll notice about the oil field. It's very hard to keep your hands clean out here. So the better the hygiene that you use, the better, right? So always have good hygiene habits, especially out here, because if you're eating or something, there's no telling what's on your hands. And you don't want to get sick or end up catching something that you don't even know what it is. Wet wipes, always a good tool for pretty much any industry. All right, guys, that is how you load a water trailer out here in the oil field, or you could call it a vacuum truck, whatever kind of terminology you want to use for it. That's how you load water. This is one of the most basic things that a water hauler will do out here, is load produced water from one of these batteries like we just did and haul it to the disposal. We also do a lot of other things with this truck, like skimming oil, pulling bottoms, cleaning up spills. It's just an all-use kind of truck or kind of vehicle out here in the oil field. It's a good tool for pretty much anything. They use it for pigging pipelines also. So there's a lot of different things you can do, but this is some of the most basic thing that you can learn. And I hope if you guys are interested in coming out here, I hope this video helped you at least get an idea of how to load one of these things. So if you're looking at going into like looking for a job out here, you can at least say, yeah, I know how it works, right? You can always use my video to go back to a reference, actually how you load the trailer and stuff like that, so that you know you're not clueless when you get over here. So I hope you guys found this video informational, and remember, if you're new to the channel, this is what we talk about, is trucking and money. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now and turn on that bell notification so that you guys get notified every single time that I post a video every week. Remember, we got to get to 1,000 subscribers by summertime, so we're going to keep on track with that. I'm going to keep throwing out videos. Hopefully you guys enjoy them. I know I enjoy making them, but until next time, keep it between the ditches.